And we're taking you live. We're taking you now to Quebec, where we're hearing from Christine Moore, who is speaking in Royaume-Noranda. She is responding to the findings of an independent investigation clearing her of allegations of sexual misconduct. Let's listen.
I want to really extend my deep and sincere thanks to all the people of Témiscamingue who were absolutely wonderful and gave me a lot of courage to come through this ordeal. So I'm now ready to take your questions, and I will answer in the language in which they are asked. I imagine you're relieved by all of this. Well, of course I am relieved, but of course the process was very, very long. I've known the truth from the outset. I knew they couldn't find anything because absolutely nothing had happened. It was a totally consensual relationship, so I wasn't relieved in the sense that I already knew they couldn't find anything, and that's the case when you know the truth. But I was relieved that it was finally over because even from the outside you can understand that the process must take its course. When you're on the inside, you find it takes a long, long time, and you just want it to be over. So obviously the relief came from the fact that it was finally done with, because I found it took a long time. And also, of course, there are a lot of things that I want to talk about, and there are issues that are very important to me and to Abitibi-Témiscamingue, and so unfortunately, each time that I said something in public, there were people who would raise this with me, and they were sincere. They were clearly concerned about me. But I wanted to talk about something else. I wanted to talk about the issues that are important to the people of this region, the lack of manpower and employees, which is hurting the region. Those allegations came about not long after you denounced conduct on the part of other people. Do you intend to launch a lawsuit? Well, for me, it's clear that it was defamation. And that's why when I had my press conference in May, I announced that it was my intention to sue people, and a notice was sent to the journalists in question, and the judicial process is following its course, because for me there was never any doubt that it was defamation. Well, I have no idea of what the motivation could have been. I have no idea what the motivation was, why this happened. I really have no idea. Certainly, I thought about a lot of different hypotheses, but I really don't know why he did it. And I think it's important to understand as well that since October 2013, I haven't even spoken to that individual. The only time we made contact after 2013, or at some point, was when he shared a page with me when he was running for the Liberal Party in his riding. And at that point, I just answered saying, good luck. But that's the only contact I had with him. So for me, trying to understand what was happening, I mean, it's practically impossible. Well, it's in terms of the process of the inquiry. I think that perhaps the Chief of Staff can give you more information about that. Well, he said that he intended to do it, but he did not. So at this point, I really can't say anything more about it. But when we talked about the investigation, I think he had said he intended to participate. So it's really up to him to explain what happened.
D'agir de cette manière, d'avoir une enquête indépendante. Estimez-vous justement que c'est nécessaire de faire cela et de poursuivre?
Do you feel it was absolutely necessary for the party to have this investigation? Well, certainly there were a certain number of factors in play, but I think it is necessary to have a reliable process in place so that you can arrive at findings as opposed to allegations, so that you can remove any doubt. Now, I was the subject of an independent investigation done by an experienced investigator who, and I have no doubts about the quality of her work. So that also helps to strengthen my position, which was what I had said from the outset, that I had done nothing wrong. Now, certainly we're also, there are not thousands of investigations that have been carried out in the past in a political or other context. So I think that we're really learning how to deal with that process. And with every investigation, I think people figure out what can they do better the next time. There's no manual for party leaders as to how to manage this kind of situation. So I think they're really trying to do their best under the circumstances. But this was a highly professional and independent investigation. And I would have liked it to be done more quickly, but I had to wait for everything to be done based on the appropriate standards so that it would be totally independent. This was not a criminal investigation. When accusations like that are made, there remains some doubt in some people's minds. Do you think that you will suffer politically as a result of this? Within your party or in the next election? Well, I think with the support I received from the people of Abitibi, Témiscamingue, and based on poll results, people continue to have confidence in me. Now, there are some people who may not know me as much as the people of Abitibi and might be more apt to judge me. Sometimes people react to what they see in the media without necessarily having all the information at their disposal to do a proper analysis. But I think that people who take the time to really try and find out what happened and look at the details will certainly understand that there is no doubt to be had about my innocence.
How do you feel with the conclusion of the investigation?
It's sure for me, even though I know we need to take the time that it's needed to do the investigation properly, I feel that the process was really long, so I'm really happy that now it's done. But it's sure I never have a doubt about myself because I knew the truth since the beginning, so it's why I'm not surprised about the conclusion of the investigation. But I'm really happy that now it's stable and that I'm now a fully member of the NDP caucus with my full duty, and that I'm really happy also now that I can focus more on what's are the issue of people of my riding in Abitibi-Témiscamingue. We are facing numbers of issues that I think need a lot of attention, and I want to focus myself more on that on details of my personal life that happened 5 years ago.
You said you weren't surprised by the findings. Do you see this as a victory? Well, certainly. I certainly perceive it as being supportive. And, you know, that's reflective of the kind of person I am. When I said I wasn't surprised, I meant that I'm a person of integrity, I don't like lies, and sometimes I say things quite directly, but I think the people deserve being told things the way they really are. That's what I've always done in my career, and I think they recognize the kind of person I am.
And that is NDP MP Christine Moore reacting to an independent investigation into sexual misconduct allegations brought against her by Glenn Kirkland, a Afghan war veteran. She has been cleared of those misconduct allegations by that investigation. That was announced by NDP leader Jagmeet Singh earlier today, and then we heard from Christine Moore there saying that she is relieved, but the process was long. I knew they couldn't find anything because nothing happened. It was a consensual relationship, and she said that she's happy to be reinstated as a full member of the NDP caucus. The CBC's Ottawa Bureau Chief Rob Russo has been following along and joins me now. So, Rob, what struck you about what she had to say?
Well, there are a couple of things on the human level. She was asked about relief, as you mentioned there, Andrew. She said that she was never uncertain at all about the outcome. She knew that she said that this was a consensual relationship. She is relieved, however, that she will not have to be asked about this again. She said every time she went out in public, members of the public, people in her riding, were asking her about this. And that she feels some relief that she won't have to deal with this issue in the same way and not be able to, and actually be able to talk and say, I've been exonerated or found clear by an independent investigator. The other thing that she said that's noteworthy is that she is going to go ahead with her defamation suit aimed at Mr. Kirkland, the man that she was involved with, and aimed at the 3 news organizations, including the CBC, that she is suing, saying that the news organizations defamed her. So she's going ahead with that. The one question she wasn't asked, Andrew, which I think is germane, nobody asked her any second thoughts. Or the question I might have asked was, now looking back, do you think it was wise for you to have become involved in a relationship with somebody who was appearing before you as a witness when you were on a committee? She wasn't asked that question at all. I would have been interested in her answer.
Yeah, that is interesting. And Rob, maybe just a little bit of background because about Christine Moore and who she has been and the role that she has played when it comes to these kinds of allegations against others.
Right. Before there was a Me Too movement, this was someone, a member of Parliament for the New Democratic Party, that took a leading role on harassment issues. In fact, it was her, Ms. Moore, who went directly to the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, to complain about 2 members of Parliament who had misbehaved or who were accused of sexual harassment. She made the accusation. She got the Prime Minister's ear directly on a bus trip. He looked into it, and that led directly to the expulsion of 2 members of Parliament, Massimo Pichetti and Scott Andrews, from the Liberal caucus, directly because of information that she brought to the Prime Minister. So she played a significant role. Her ability to play that role, of course, would have been neutered if this had gone another way today. It'll be interesting to see if she assumes some of that role again in the future.
And then finally, Glenn Kirkland. She said, I have no idea what the motivation was, and yeah, so far we haven't heard from him.
Well, we have. Our Katie Simpson has actually spoken to him on the phone, and he said that he is sickened by the results. He was told by his lawyer not to take part in this investigation. He feels like he's been muzzled as a result, and he also said that he had been dragged into this by the media. So Mr. Kirkland is casting blame now elsewhere, including on the media for his role in this.
Oh, that is interesting. Okay, Rob, thank you. That is the CBC's Ottawa Bureau Chief, Rob Russo.